Welcome back to another video. We've started a brand new renovation project in our 120-year-old townhouse in Spain. What we estimated would have been a 4-day job has turned into 2 weeks and counting of fixing old mistakes and learning new skills to turn our old, dingy master bathroom into a beautiful, clean, modern space that suits the original charm of the property. The last few weeks have been a little bit challenging to say the least.
So there was a big bump in this part of the wall and these were like flexing, these tiles, which is why we want to take these two off. As you can see, they've just been spotted onto the wall rather than actually tiled onto the wall. But look at the gap down the back of these tiles. As we weren't really planning to be fixing such a large mess, I've only bought 200 mils of stuff to stick the tiles back down. So what we're thinking is basically going to be a bodge job on a bodge job, because we want to do the bathroom properly in about 2 years. Right now it's just supposed to be a relatively quick fix to make it a bit nicer. So I think we're going to chip off a little bit of this so there's more space, and then fill that space with tile adhesive, and then try and fill some of the holes down here with whatever's left.
When these tiles were installed, they haven't been done conventionally. So when you lay the tiles, you'd normally put a little spacer and then you put the next tile, and then when you come to grout it, you've got space to be able to grout completely between the two tiles. But these tiles are clean, which means there's been no grout touching them, and all the grout that you can see here is just on the surface. We aren't able to reinstall by using a spacer or anything, because obviously that means that they won't fit back in the space. So we'll just butt them up as they were beforehand, and we just know that when we come to do this proper renovation in the future, all these tiles will have to come off, all of the tile adhesive will have to come off. It's going to be a really big job, so that's future Danny and Katie's problem. For now, we're just going to do the best that we can with the situation that we have and carry on with the mini renovation. Do you ever think that we'll do a renovation where we don't have some kind of disaster to contend with and it'll all just run to plan? Cast your vote in the poll in the comments, just for fun. Danny and Kate, tile extraordinaires, who knew? That was great!
We're not fully off, so... Okay, that'll do.
We would not have touched these if they weren't falling off the wall, but since they were very spongy and half of the grout was coming off anyway, and it gets covered in water, we were a bit worried that actually underneath here was going to be damp and the water was actually getting in and it was going to be kind of damaging the wall underneath these, which is why we wanted to pull them off and have a look. So we're really glad that there's not actually damage behind them. That's good. It'll do for now. Please don't ridicule us in the comments for how terrible this job is, but they feel like they're going to stay, so that's good enough for us. When we come to do the whole bathroom in a couple of years' time, you watch, these two are going to be the hardest to get off. Everything else will just pop off and these ones will be like stuck for good. I'm just on a walk out with Isabel, and I wanted to share something that we've noticed is happening in the countryside here. And for those of you who follow our channel who also live in the countryside, in the campo, it'd be interesting to find out whether this similar thing is happening in your area too. There's been a bit of a kind of mass purchase of land this year, it seems, where people are buying orange groves and just pulling out all of the oranges. So the trees are quite old, I guess, and they're just kind of pulling out every single tree. You can see to the side of me here is a prime example of that. Just whole fields full of really mature trees, and just completely uprooting them. And we've seen excavators and diggers in these areas just pulling out whole entire trees. So I wonder what they're going to do with these pieces of land. It'll be interesting to see what they put in their place. In some areas we've seen the old orange trees that are no longer producing kind of big good oranges, but actually more kind of little ones that they don't bother to actually pick, and they just leave them to rot on the ground. So perhaps what they're doing is pulling out those old trees and planting new ones so that they are able to actually get fruit that's worthwhile picking. I don't know. Sometimes what we're seeing is people actually planting new orange trees either in between the ones that are there and filling the gaps in existing orchards or orange groves, or also putting new ones right next to old ones that look like they're going to be pulled out relatively soon. So letting them establish first before they're replacing them, which to me seems like a much more sensible way of doing it. But I did presume that you would be able to actually just put a new tree on the old rootstock, and that would be more advantageous, because surely if you've got a huge rootstock there that's established and strong into the ground, you'd think that would be better for grafting. But who knows? It's just something that I've noticed is happening quite a lot, and it'd be interesting to hear people's thoughts. What do you think people might be doing with this land? What are the possibilities with something like that, and why would you pull out hundreds of trees?
Got the laser level out, the path's not quite level.
But the good news is that the tiles are pretty straight. The door, on the other hand, is a whole different story. It's all kinds of angles. We're going to install a glass shower screen, so we're just figuring out where we're going to hang that. We want to do it before we do the walls, because then we can make sure that the plaster layer is all nice and clean around it, and we're not going to damage that by drilling into it afterwards. So we're going to measure this all out, get it all aligned and where it's going to go, and then after we've done the walls, we'll be able to install the screen.
So the masking tape was a little trick from Think Alive, Sharon and Andy, and he was saying if you put a bit of masking tape on while you're drilling into tile, it stops it dancing around, which means you get your hole you want, not the one it gives you. So I'm going to have a go with that.
So then we need to do 44 either side of that. I'm just on my way to pick up Isabel from nursery. We managed to get quite a lot done this morning. So we had about 2.5 hours just to kind of push on with getting as much as we can done. And yeah, we managed to finish off one of the walls that Danny started last night, the one that's behind the bidet and the toilet and where the shower goes. And then he also started on the wall against the side of the bath as well. And I finished off all around the sink and the base of the bath. So we got quite a lot done. I've got to wait for that to dry now before we can do the next layer. But yeah, when we get chunks of time like this, we're able to do quite a decent amount. So it's pretty good that Isabel goes to nursery a little bit, gives us a little bit of time to actually focus on doing some of those jobs that really she shouldn't be around those materials and kind of around the potential dust and stuff. So yeah, good morning. We're gonna interplant between the tomatoes and aubergines down the row, and then add the squash at the end so that they've got somewhere that they can grow kind of out and cover the ground. And then what else have we got? Peppers and beans. Need to think about where they're gonna go. Where's your ball? Find it. Where's your ball? There it is. Good boy. Where I'll find you when I open my eyes. Hope that you're by my side. So the next thing for us to think about is putting in some drip irrigation. We'd like to connect it up to the IBCs that we've got just there. Hopefully that will be enough pressure just to give enough for the drip irrigation. We reckon it's probably 2.5, maybe 3 meters of elevation from where the beds are here up to where the IBCs are. So hopefully that'll be enough just for a little bit. But the beds are looking good. And then this weekend, the job is going to be drip irrigation. But I think we'll probably put that into the next video. So keep watching our channel and subscribe if you haven't already. And you can see how these plants do. As always, if you've made it all the way to the end, then thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.